Raping, beheading babies, burning up corpses are not achievements you should be proud of, and definitely not creative. Today we're going to react to a video I saw of an event taking place in the Colombia University. This event was discussing the events of October 7th and in general the Palestinian-Israeli conflict.
That either you stop filming, don't record, or you leave the event.
Some of the things that were said in the video were shockingly misleading and inaccurate, so I thought to myself, why not run a quick fact check?
On October 7th, the Palestinian liberation fighters demonstrated their refusal to be dominated. They showed the world that the Palestinian people will fight for freedom instead of quietly adapting to subjugation.
Let's stop right here and start with the term freedom fighters. Hamas operatives are not freedom fighters. Hamas is a terror organization, as was recognized by many countries like the US, UK, the European Union, Australia, Japan, Canada, New Zealand, and many others.
They showed us that through creativity, determination, and combined strength, the masses can accomplish great feats.
Nothing about October 7th was an achievement, and definitely not creative. On October 7th, 1,200 people were killed and murdered in their homes while they were sleeping. This is not the act of a legitimate military. These are actions of a terror organization, definitely not freedom fighters. Raping, beheading babies, burning up corpses are not achievements you should be proud of. Hamas's actions on October 7th answer to the definition of crimes against humanity by international law. And to our second point, Hamas is not fighting against Israeli domination, simply because Israel is not controlling the Gaza Strip. Israel withdrew from Gaza in 2005, including forcibly evacuating its own civilians.
The soldiers that you have seen are the last ones to leave the Gaza Strip.
Since then, Hamas is the only suburb in the Gaza Strip.
The masses can accomplish great feats, a fact we have seen in every heroic struggle for liberation from Vietnam to Afghanistan. As Matt says, dare to struggle, dare to win.
Funny you mention Afghanistan as an heroic example. The struggle in Afghanistan that is happening since the 1990s is led by the Taliban, a fundamentalist, extremist Muslim terrorist organization. The Taliban is notorious for its extreme oppression of Afghan women and its aid to Al-Qaeda. And this is the first out of a few times I've heard people in this video cite Mao Zedong, which really shocked me. Mao Zedong is the founder dictator of communist China. He's also responsible for one of the greatest human disasters, which is also called the Great Famine. The death toll of the Great Famine is between 15 and 55 million people. He's also known for the harsh repression of Chinese people as part of the Cultural Revolution. No revolution justifies crimes against humanity.
Chants from the river to the sea are seen as calls for genocide, and criticism of the Israeli government is labeled anti-Semitic. Many Israelis see these calls for Palestinian liberation as acts of violence, perhaps because violence is central to the construction of the Israeli national identity.
The call from the river to the sea is indeed seen by many Israelis and Jews as a call for genocide. That is because when we're talking about a free Palestine between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea, we speak of the entire territory of modern Israel, and thus its entire Jewish population. Since Hamas is quoting in its charter verses from the Quran calling for the killing of Jews, and after the events of October 7th, taking into account the history of the Jewish people being prosecuted and the framing of their very existence as a problem needed to be solved, you can very much understand their sensitivity around this kind of statements and callings. Not every criticism about Israel is anti-Semitic, but criticism that denies Israel's right to exist is indeed anti-Semitic. There is no discussion about any other country's legitimacy. We don't hear this discussion about countries like France or Sweden or even North Korea, but we do hear this about Israel. So I think that just as much as Palestinians has a right to self-determine, so does the Jewish people.
The violence perpetuated by the IDF and the Israeli government is not just a policy choice. It is the foundation of the nation's existence, and it is essential to its survival.
Actually, you have a point. If the IDF stop its activity, Israel will cease from existing. As Golda Meir, former Prime Minister of Israel, said, if the Palestinians lay down their weapons, there will be peace. If Israel lay down their weapons, there will be a massacre. However, violence is not a fundamental value of Israeli society. If you look into Israeli society, you can see it's very influenced by ideas of peace. And a great example for that is Vivian Silver. Vivian Silver devoted her life for peace, and on the morning of October 7th, she was murdered in her house in Kibbutz Be'eri. What we've seen here is that there is an enormous amount of misinformation out there, that just because people are well-spoken, it doesn't mean that what they're saying is accurate. And that is why it's important to always check your facts.